Looking for trusted vehicle protection? American Guardian Warranty Services has you covered. Since 1998, we've delivered top-tier coverage, award-winning support, and industry-leading training to keep your business moving forward. Every way forward.
Hey, it's Jake Neer, Daily Drive executive producer, in for Jamie Butters. On today's bonus episode, we'll hear from Nissan's Chair of the Americas, Christian Meunier. That's coming up in a few minutes, but first, Ford announced the end of its employee pricing for all incentives that have catapulted sales in recent months, but it's not getting rid of big deals. To keep the momentum going, Ford is now offering no-interest financing for 48 months with no money down and no payments required for the first 90 days. That's for most of its models. Michael Martinez covers Ford for us at Automotive News. We spoke about the move shortly after it was announced. Okay, Mike, so we have news this week about Ford and its incentive programs. What are they announcing here this week?
Essentially a new incentive program after that employee pricing for everyone that was sort of much hyped at the start, at the onset of the Trump tariffs. Now what they're offering is essentially zero interest financing for 48 months with $0 down and zero payments for the first 90 days of a lease or a vehicle purchase. So that deal runs now through Labor Day, through September 2nd.
And why now? Why is this the time to implement a change?
Well, essentially their employee pricing for all discount had run its course. They wanted to have it through the July 4th holiday weekend, and they needed something new, and Ford really wants to keep that momentum going. They had a very strong first half of the year, a very strong second quarter in particular. Sales were up 14%. They were actually the top selling brand in the industry through the first half of the year, outselling Toyota, which is a pretty big deal. Now we'll see where that ends for the full year, but through 6 months, it's Ford at the top, and that says a lot. They've gained 1.8 percentage points of market share, which is a large jump because most times we're talking about tenths of percentage points changes in the market share swings. So what they have is working right now, and they want to keep that momentum going, and they think this type of promotion will do it because they say what they're hearing from customers is they want lower upfront costs because prices for basically everything else have gotten higher, and some families are feeling the pinch, especially if they're trying to go on a summer road trip or to buy a new car amid other large purchases.
Yeah, as someone who just went on a long summer road trip with his family, I know the financial pinch that can come with that. So finally, I'm curious about how dealers are feeling about this, or how they're likely to react to something like this. Does it matter what the incentives look like? Is it the structure of it, or is it just keeping people coming through the door?
I think the idea is to keep that interest, to keep that showroom traffic running. And it's particularly important now because every analyst we talk to, every forecasting firm is predicting essentially a summer sales slump for the entire industry, that everybody rushed in the spring to buy vehicles before prices were affected by tariffs, and that those pull-ahead sales are leading to a downward trend leading into the second half. So companies like Ford are looking for ways to keep people buying, and the dealers are hopeful that this will do exactly that.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jake.
Coming up, our colleagues at Automotive News Canada spoke with Nissan America's chairperson, Christian Meunier, this week. We'll hear part of that interview next.
When it comes to vehicle protection, American Guardian Warranty Services has you covered. Since 1998, AGWS has been a trusted leader in F&I solutions, offering top-tier protection plans for autos, RVs, power sports, marine, and more. All backed by A-rated insurance carriers for reliable coverage you can count on. But we don't just offer protection. We deliver results. With award-winning marketing materials, expert dealer training through AGWS University, and exceptional customer service, we are committed to helping your business grow while keeping your customers protected. Join thousands of satisfied dealers and agents who trust AGWS for comprehensive coverage and unmatched support. Visit agws.com or call 800-579-2233 today to keep your business moving forward. Every way forward.
Welcome back. Earlier this week, there was news that Nissan had suspended production of 3 models for the Canadian market at 2 U.S. assembly plants as it awaits the outcome of Canada-U.S. trade talks. Automotive News Canada publisher Tim Demopoulos spoke with Nissan America's chairperson Christian Meunier on the Automotive News Canada podcast. Here's a piece of their conversation.
When you look at government mandates, particularly in this country and in the U.S. to a degree, how is Nissan dealing with the chaos when it comes to changing mandates and changing, goalposts and also the incentives? Like, how do you keep on top of that?
It's super difficult because they're changing all the time. And I think they vary from one province, one state to another, one country to the other, and makes it super difficult to plan for the future. So I think hopefully between the tariff going away or being reduced, or at least having that visibility on what we can count on and what is happening, I think we're going to be in better position to plan the future and be optimizing our plan. Because the worst thing that can happen to a company like Nissan is the lack of certainty, the lack of stability. It makes it very difficult to optimizing our investment and hopefully we'll see some simplification coming through. And you've seen that in the US, there's already some willingness to simplify the emission requirement and to have a more consistent federal approach. I wish it will be the same in Canada, because I think it's very difficult to manage for the manufacturer, and it doesn't get any benefits to the customer ultimately. It's more of a lot of waste of resource for the manufacturers and also ultimately for the government. So hopefully a common structure, a common requirement will be coming in place. Pragmatism is highly needed.
Now, speaking about pragmatism, tariffs are still a reality, at least for now, caused you to pause some of your model production. So tell me a little bit about the models that are affected and how flexible is Nissan to be able to reintroduce these models?
So the good news for Canada is that 80% of the product are not affected. 80% of the product we sell in Canada are not affected by the tariff because they're coming from outside of the US. That's a good news for Canada. And in Quebec, more specifically, I think it's only 10% affected. So I think from that perspective, the business in Canada should not really suffer from it. We have Rogue and Kicks, which are in the largest segment in Canada. I think it's 55 to 60% of the total market. So we have the product to compete in Canada. We have stopped shipping Pathfinder, QX60 and some other models and Murano for a period of time. It doesn't mean we stopped forever. It's more of a suspension for a period of time. Hopefully by the end of the quarter or the end of the year, we'll have good news on the tariff and the renegotiation between US, Canada and Mexico and for a new USMCA. And I'm very confident that the 25% tariff that we see today will become much less than what it is today. And when it happens, we will start importing US product again. And I think in the mid and long term, I'm very confident that having a very strong footprint in North America is going to be a big advantage for us to get the cost benefit, get more cost competitive product, and have a simple and a shorter supply chain as well between the different markets of North America.
And have the tariffs kind of forced you to look at reshoring and domesticating production a lot more aggressively, or was that always kind of a long-term plan for Nissan?
Not completely. In the US, roughly 50% of the sales were coming from the US, and now we're pushing towards a 60 to 65% by the end of the calendar year. So we're moving super aggressively, moving things around. And for the mid and long term, I think the tariffs are forcing Nissan to do the right thing, I believe, which is to produce where you sell. In my opinion, 80-90% of the product that we sell in North America should be made in North America, because it brings a lot more cost efficiency, more volume in the right location, reduce the need for transportation, reduce the need for a lot of supply chain costs that we can avoid, and it eliminates any kind of volatility of the exchange rate fluctuations.
Nissan America's chairperson, Christian Meunier, spoke with Automotive News Canada publisher Tim Demopoulos. You can hear their full conversation on the Automotive News Canada podcast, available now wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening to this bonus episode of Daily Drive. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new full episode of the show.